You sure you're ready?
Of course I'm ready. I'm always ready. Hi, and welcome again to the Path to Profit podcast. This is episode 92.
Woohoo!
Yeah, and today we are talking about 5 ways to improve your relationship with money. Money mindset hacks for creative entrepreneurs. I love this title, and I love it because she wrote it, and she's really smart.
Aw, thank you, honey.
I'm Brad Dobson. I'm here with my wife, Dr. Minette Riordan.
Hello.
And once again, we're going to talk more about money and creative entrepreneurship. And today we got a cool quote. I like this quote. You want to do it?
Yeah, I get to read it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So the quote is from Jim Rohn, who's an amazing educator, speaker, and coach around leadership. And he says, you don't get paid by the hour. You get paid by the value you bring to the hour.
Yep.
You don't get paid by the hour. You get paid by the value you bring to the hour.
What are you bringing to the table?
Yeah, well, if you kind of think about it from a traditional job perspective, working for corporate or even working in the mall. I don't know about you. I had lots of retail jobs over the years. You weren't necessarily getting paid by the hour. You're getting paid a salary that was commensurate with your value, right? That you brought. Your education and your training and how much experience you had all contributed to how much you were getting paid on an annual basis. And yes, that could be broken down into an hourly rate, right? But at the end of the day, it's about the value that you bring. And in our last episode, we talked all about pricing. So if you didn't listen to episode 91, we're not going to talk about pricing today, but we think pricing is a hugely important topic. And we highly encourage you to go back and listen to episode 91 if you're struggling with your pricing.
Yeah. And at the same time, this episode is going to help you with that pricing.
Yeah.
Specifically when you're having problems thinking that you're worth the numbers that you want to charge.
It's so true. And the reason that we're talking about money mindset today is twofold. First, because healing or being on the path to healing, I don't know if it's ever completely healed, but really understanding how to look at my relationship with money, at the emotional relationship I had to money, heal some of the blocks, practice some forgiveness, really understand how I was raised to think about money had a huge impact on my ability to confidently stand in my value and raise my rates. So it's partially personal. And the second part of that is after 5 years of working with creative women entrepreneurs and a few amazing men as well, the number one thing, there's 2 things that I see that hold them back. We're going to tell you about the second one because we have a huge announcement at the end of the show. So stay tuned. I'm so excited for our big reveal today. But the first one is their money mindset. And it stops women in their tracks from building successful, profitable businesses, whether that's charging what they're worth, whether that's looking for venture capital or investment, whether it's just going to the bank and asking for a loan. Money mindset impacts women. The statistics of how many women actually reach out and ask for financial support in their business is a tiny fraction relative to the number of men who are asking for and receiving investment, venture capital, and traditional bank loans to fund their businesses or Kickstarter campaigns. Be cool to see if there's any stats on how many men versus women are doing Kickstarter type campaigns these days.
Yeah, definitely. I think, one thing that you're going to hate us for here, because this is a little bit of coaching,
or how do you know they're not going to love us for it?
Maybe psychiatry, but not surprising.
This is not psychiatry.
Not surprisingly, all this stuff.
Disclaimer: this is not psychiatry.
Yeah, it's pseudo psychiatry.
No, it's not.
We're faking our way through it. Anyways, what I was trying to say is that, not surprisingly, most of this stuff comes back to your childhood and the way you were brought up. And Minette hinted at that. I certainly have gone through my own issues related to money over the last couple of years, jumping ship from a job and having been the sort of sole provider into what is now, us trying to make money, provide for the family, run a business, all that type of stuff. But yeah, it's amazing how much of this comes back to your childhood. I know for us, my brothers and sisters, we were brought up in a stable household, but we didn't really talk about money. And the only one that came through, the only sort of money mindset that always shone through was old English or Welsh background waste not, want not type of thing. And I'm sure if you listener went back to your childhood, you had all your own type of issues related to this. So the reason you're going to hate us is that, yeah, you got to go back and dig up your own shit and deal with all of this stuff. Just like when you went through life coaching and all the other stuff, you have to go and do this if you want to get past these blocks.
It's so funny. He has such a completely different perspective than I do to going on this journey. I personally get excited to go on this journey and dig up some of the old shit, as Brad said,
it's hard work, though.
It is hard work, but the payoff on the other end is huge in terms of fulfillment, satisfaction, and actual money flowing into your business. You know, for me, the biggest thing was recognizing, like, nobody taught me how to take responsibility for my money, how to talk about it, how to have the conversations about it. I just kind of trusted that it was always going to be okay. And that only works to a certain extent. I'm actually really, really good at manifesting money, but I've never been very good at holding on to it.
Right.
So a lot of these stories come up, and I know I was teasing Brad about the psychiatry. This is not therapy. This is not psychology. This is not psychiatry. This is actually a proven, very simple creative process for just getting to know your stories that anybody can do at home. We are not therapists. We don't claim to be. We're certainly not trained MD psychiatrists
hopefully
either.
Y'all read the terms and conditions for listening to this podcast.
So I just want to be really, really careful to say that, you know, you're doing this work at your own peril, and it can be challenging work. We are always here to help and support you. There's some amazing, amazing money coaches out there as well, and I've worked with several of them, and I am a great money coach and love working with women on this stuff as well. But the thing is that the first step is actually practical, right? When it comes to your money mindset. And step number one of our 5 ways to improve your money mindset is just to know your numbers intimately. And Brad can really laugh at this. He laughs at this all the time when we have our live events with our clients. And I start talking about knowing your numbers. Everybody's eyes roll back in their head. The calculators come out. And we have this myth believing that we're not good at math. I certainly was that girl who was raised to think I wasn't good at math. I didn't need to know math or science. That really, you know, maybe I was going to be a teacher or a librarian, or when I did one of those stupid skills tests in high school, it said I should be an interior designer. What? Really? An interior designer? Not me. It's actually way too detail oriented for me. And I have so much admiration for interior designers. The work that they do is such a beautiful blend of information and creativity.
Yeah, and
right?
they tend to create really clean spaces.
Yes. That's so true. Yeah. So, you know, we get told these things throughout our life. And the truth is, I really wasn't very good at geometry or algebra, but we're all good at arithmetic. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to doing the numbers in your business, it's so freaking simple. It's like first grade math. If you can add and subtract, and then maybe third grade math, divide and multiply, you can do the numbers in your business. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so you just have to know them. And one of the ways to get to know them is to have systems in place for tracking them. And that could be just a spreadsheet. It could be, we have one friend that does her budget every month on a yellow legal pad with gel pens because they're pretty and she likes glitter, right? But it's like literally just keeping track of what's going in and what's coming out. You could be doing QuickBooks or FreshBooks or Quicken. You could be using mint.com for your personal tracking. There's some great tools.
Yeah, we're fans of QuickBooks Online.
Yeah.
I understand, you know, people worry about giving their information out, and, you know, there's reasonable worries about those things, but there are some fantastic tools like QuickBooks Online or FreshBooks that can help you with this type of stuff.
And FreshBooks, actually, I'll just give a plug to them. I was lucky enough to meet the founder of FreshBooks this year, he was a creative business owner, and he finds himself very surprised that now he owns this uber successful software company. But he started it out of that need as a creative to create invoices and do it simply and effectively. And so it's $10 a month, and it's designed for creatives. It's super, super user friendly. So know your numbers intimately. As one of my clients recently said, you have to get intimate with your numbers. Yeah. So number one, know your numbers, know your numbers, know your numbers. Number two,
you need to track your income daily.
Yeah.
And that might sound weird to you,
or
but
scary as all get out.
right. But I love the part that Manette pushes about this is that it helps you understand that money is a flow.
Yeah.
Um, of course, it helps you from a practical standpoint. You understand whether you made money or didn't make money, and that's an important metric. But just watching money come in and out, actually tracking, checks you took to the bank, the penny you picked up on the ground outside the grocery store, PayPal payments coming in, payments going out, all those things. Knowing them daily gives you a sense of confidence and a sense of flow about money.
It does. I want to just dive into, so how do you track your money every day? So we're talking about just tracking your income. Yes, you could also track expenses, but to begin with, I would challenge you for the next 30 days to track every penny that flows into your life. Like Brad said, whether it's a penny you pick up on the sidewalk, whether it's your IRS refund check, which you're maybe going to be getting this month, whether it's some other windfall money, maybe you get a rebate or a surprise check in the mail from a relative. There's income flowing in your life in ways that are not just in your business. Maybe you have a combined household income where one partner still gets a paycheck. That counts as income flowing into you personally. So this isn't just about your business. It's about tracking every penny that flows. Now, some people do choose to do this where they're just looking at money flowing into your business. The beauty of this is that you get to see all those zeros stacking up, which, oh man, when I first started tracking income that way was so scary. Man, and seeing those zeros, I could tie those zeros back to my lack of marketing, right? So it helped me see exactly why I wasn't making money. I wasn't asking anybody for money. I wasn't creating opportunities to make money.
Yeah, you learn really quickly that you're failing to promote.
Yeah. Yes.
and
failing to ask, or you're asking and not getting yeses, which is a sales conversation challenge.
Exactly.
But you also start to see the beautiful rhythms in your business. Maybe you have a great cycle where most of your money comes in once a month or twice a month or once a quarter. When we were doing more live events, we had money, big chunks of money coming in twice a year that then we had to manage that money to pay for these year-long programs. So tracking is a powerful emotional, energetic tool, just honoring and staying open to receiving abundance, as well as a business planning and projection tool is super powerful.
Number 3 is rewrite your money stories. And this is the coaching
the woo-woo
part that we were talking
as you
about
would
earlier.
fondly say.
Yeah. And we've seen a lot from different clients. We've seen people that they really feel icky about charging money at all because they think they're put on the planet to just serve. And so I hear you going, well, what's the matter with just serving? There's nothing the matter with just serving. It's a fantastic calling. Go out and do it. And if you are called to be a monk in the world or a nun, be a monk or a nun. That's fine. But if you're in business, you do need to charge for what you're providing. It's not icky. And in fact, I think that the mindset that you need to have about that is that the more money that you can make from this business, the more you can help and the more you can serve.
Because you cannot serve people from an empty well, that eventually you will feel burnt out, exhausted, desperate. People don't want to work with you if you're desperate for money. They can really feel the energetic of that. But I want to share a couple of the very specific money mindsets. Some of these might resonate with you that we hear over and over again. And some of these may not even be conscious. They may be things that you heard throughout your lifetime from your family that you just kind of absorbed that need to be brought into your consciousness so that you can release them. Things like money is evil, right? It's the root of all evil is a common one. Rich people are snobs. There's not enough money to go around. I will never have enough money. We shouldn't talk about money. It's private. The one I see over and over again is the just enough money mindset, right? Where people always make just enough to cover their costs, but never extra. So no matter how much they're making, whether they're making $1,000 a month or $100,000 a month, they spend it, right? So that they always have just enough in their bank account. And they're not even doing this consciously. It's one of the biggest challenges we see, where people go along just sort of puttering along and never actually getting ahead. So none of these are good or bad or right or wrong. This isn't about judging the mindset or anybody that came before you that shared these stories. This is about consciousness of the stories that are making it difficult for you to charge what you're worth in your business.
Yeah. And whatever techniques you can use to identify when you're telling yourself those stories, use them.
Yeah, it's so true. And, if you've listened to the podcast at all, or you ever have worked with me, or you read us on the blog, I'm a huge fan of using creative processes and practices to heal our relationship with ourselves and to work on these mindset issues. So I would be journaling, I would be doing collage, I might be painting it out, but I would be really creating some imagery to recognize and honor these money stories, because some part of these money stories served you in some particular way. And so we have to honor the stories in order to release the stories. And I wanted to just pause for a moment to talk about the myth. Brad talked a little bit about the impoverished healer mentality, where we feel like we have these gifts and we just have to give them away. But I also want to talk about the starving artist mentality. So here's my opinion on the starving artist mentality. So it is a myth. It is not a reality. There are many, many uber wealthy, successful, profitable artists working in the world today. And when we think about the starving artist myth, we often go back to stories like Van Gogh. Well, Van Gogh wasn't focused on making money, right? Van Gogh had all kinds of crazy issues, if you know his story. And I personally believe that the reason that artists starve is because they're so focused on making art. They're not focused on building a business. And in the old days, right, like even in the times of like Jackson Pollock, who's a modern American abstract expressionist that I love, he had sponsors. He had people that supported him, that took care of his business for him. So if your dream is just to make art or write books or be a speaker, you don't have to do it alone. You might in the beginning have to pay attention to the aspects of building your business first and get the foundations in place, and then you can bring people in to support you. There is absolutely no reason. If I could bust any myth in our country right now, it would be the myth of the starving artist.
Yeah. In fact, that's what Patreon is doing.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. It's a great example. I think they even say that in their copy. So in the last episode, we mentioned a website that we actually have two clients right now. One just launched a page and one is about to launch a page on Patreon, Patreon. It is like a crowdsourcing project for artists specifically to share their gifts.
I'm subscribed to someone who is in the doctor and health field that's
using Patreon.
Yeah. Okay. To get support from people.
It was created for artists. I'm seeing other people's, but they're raison d'être. Did I say that right?
Raison d'être.
Yeah, your French is better than mine. But the reason they got started was to help artists get the support they need to be creative. And as brilliant ideas do, it's kind of taken flight. But the idea is that you share your art, whatever that looks like, your service, your products, your music. We have a guy that's making horror movies in our Creative Business Accelerator community that's sharing out his process and his journey in creating horror movies. And people contribute money, $1 a month, $3 a month, $5 a month, and they receive different gifts in exchange, or different access to your community in exchange for supporting you. And it's a way to fund your art so that we can eradicate that starving artist mentality.
Right.
So step 4, once you become conscious of those stories, is forgiveness of self and others, because we could also waste a lot of time beating ourselves up about holding on to these stories, or worrying about how these stories are impacting us. And what I recommend instead is get a piece of paper and a pen and physically write a letter of forgiveness. It might be to yourself, to your dad, to your mom, to a grandparent, to a teacher. And that starving artist mentality often flows from someone saying to you, you can't make money from your art. And when I say artist, I don't mean just a painter. Those are painters, musicians, writers, speakers, coaches, authors. People doing creative work in the world are all artists in my book.
Oh yeah, you might be making Lego models, whatever it is. Our
that's
son,
the coolest job, Lego engineer.
Our son's, he's
metalworking.
He's targeting metalworking and goldsmithing, and So I can hear these stories come up in my own head about how his future is going to be.
And my thing is, oh, yay, we can help him build a business around that.
Right.
But what most parents are saying is that you can't make a living at that. And our parents had beautiful intentions. They wanted to keep us safe and secure, and they wanted us to enjoy a certain level of living. But if you're being called to be a creative in the world, you got to let go of some of these beliefs and myths and stories that you can't make money from your art or you can't make money from your passion. We're living proof that you can do it. And we have so many clients right now who are proving it over and over and over again that it's absolutely possible to do this. And it starts with simply with forgiveness.
Number 5, remember that money is simply an even exchange of your products and services for someone's cash, right? That's it.
That's it.
That's all you have to remember.
It's an even exchange of goods and services for cash, just like the old traditional barter system where I traded my eggs for maybe your carrots, right? It's an even exchange. We get so caught up in the mindset around money that we forget to remember that this is a common business practice. You would not expect to walk into the doctor's office and not pay them instantly for their services, whether that's you personally paying or your insurance paying. You don't expect to go into Target and buy a new t-shirt and not have to pay for it, right? So there's an even exchange of services for cash. When you are bringing your gifts, your talents, and your products to the marketplace, the money is just an even exchange. It's how our world works right now. No matter what your political beliefs are thinking,
right.
Even if it's Bitcoin, it's still an even exchange, right? So learning to monetize your business has to do with you remembering that people want to pay you, right? They don't want to get something for free. They don't want to get something. They want something that's of value, and they want to believe that when they give you money, they're getting what they're paying for. So this goes back to that piece about standing in your value. We talked about more about that last time on the pricing, but it's pretty practical, right? So remembering this isn't about emotion. This isn't about magic. This is about business. And like Brad said before, we're not talking to you today about hobbies, and we're not talking to you about building nonprofits, although nonprofits also need to learn the lesson that you have to have money in order to serve. But if you're someone who's a creative, who is called to make an impact, who's called to serve the world in a bigger way, and you have a message and a vision to share that's going to help people, you have to have money. Right? You can't do this when you're broke and poor and desperate. You have to have money.
Yep, definitely.
We got a bonus tip. You want to share the
bonus tip? A bonus tip. 6 out of the 5 ways to improve your relationship.
Yeah, it's a bonus tip.
Talk about we need to talk about how important it is to pay yourself. And this is crucial on a lot of different levels. It's about you taking value from the business that you run. It's about you taking that profit out first before everybody else gets paid. The traditional way of looking at things is to pay everybody else and then take whatever's left.
I made that mistake when I had my publishing company, right? Everybody else always got paid first and we didn't pay ourselves.
Right. And we blogged about this and we talked about it on the podcast before. We're big fans of a book called Profit First by Michael Michalowicz. And Profit First. And so there's some difficult parts to it, especially if you've been in business for a while, because it really forces you to carve away expenses that you can't afford. But the key is that you are pulling money out of the business and paying yourself first, because otherwise, what are you in business for? It's just a toil and a weight around your shoulders.
It's just another job. And we're not saying you're necessarily going to pay yourself a fabulous salary right out the gate when you're getting started. This, again, is a mindset thing. Even if you actively pay yourself $10 a week, and then you do that for a month, and then the next month is $20 a week or $100 a month. So it's just that noticing how you feel about the fact that you're paying yourself. And remember, if you're in creative business, you've got 2 different bank accounts, right? If not, you need to do that first, one for your business and one for your personal life, and literally move the money whether you write yourself a check or you go online and you move the cash, physically take cash from your business account and put it in your personal account. It's incredibly satisfying to do this. And it gets you into the habit of treating your business like a business, because part of that money mindset is really standing in that place of, I'm building a business. This is not a hobby, but this is a business. And the more that you put some of these simple systems in place for tracking income, for working on your money mindset and paying yourself, the faster you're going to grow.
Definitely. Cool stuff. Now it's time for us to talk a little bit, not a lot, but just a little bit about our big announcement for this podcast.
Can we share our fun free gift before we totally change topics?
Okay, it's not time for us to talk about this. I got shut off.
Because it won't make sense once if we do it way at the end.
Okay, definitely.
You want me to do that?
Yes, please.
So one of the things that I have created in the last couple of years is a 21-day guided journaling and meditation process called Money, Meditation, and Mandalas. It's super playful and super fun. And if you go to pathtoprofitacademy.com/money-meditation-mandalas, we'll put a link in the show notes. You can go look it up, or just Google Money, Meditation, and Mandalas. You'll find the link to download our coloring book and our affirmations and some other great resources, including some guided meditations. This process has been proven at this point to really shift your mindset around money by simply coloring and focusing in every day in how you feel about money, so you can really get to the core of what it is that you're doing. So pathtoprofitacademy.com/money meditation mandalas.
Yeah. And like she said, you don't have to worry about that.
I know that was a really long URL. We need a link shortener for that one, baby.
Anyways,
the big reveal. Yay! Woohoo! We need our horns.
Yeah, exactly. So our plan coming up is to refocus and have a more specific focus for this podcast. And you don't have to worry, your subscription will still be the same. But what you're going to find is that we are going to rebrand it. So we'll have a new logo, badge, and a new name. And that name is going to be
Structure and Flow, the productivity podcast for creative entrepreneurs.
Yep. And she's Flow. I'm Structure.
In case you haven't figured that out in the last year and a half of listening to us.
Yeah. And so much the same content, but much more focused on productivity. Yeah. And we think that, when we've talked to our clients and our peeps, that productivity is going to really serve people even further than what we've been talking about in the first 92 episodes of this. Yeah. So next week we'll have a small announcement episode, and we'll talk more about this and
about what you can expect, what some of the upcoming episodes are, who some of our awesome productivity guests are going to be.
Yep. And then we're going to roll out right away a whole bunch of episodes just for you to get underway with Structure and Flow.
And our goal is that there's going to be more teaching and practical takeaways. So just like we did today, where we have 5 ways to X, we want to make this really simple and actionable, because we can talk a lot, but if we aren't sharing information that's relevant, useful, and actionable, then we're probably not doing our jobs as the owners of the Path to Profit Academy.
So next week you will get that episode and you'll hear all about it.
Woohoo! It's going to be exciting. We'll see you there.
Thanks, guys.